Alrighty, go ahead. Get into the comment section real quick.
Okie doke. So, as long as we're live, what's up, ladies and gentlemen, and others?
Welcome, Tone. Right off the gate.
Right out the gate, huh?
Yeah.
Hi, Tone.
Today we're just going to be talking about starting things out with Sony. Then we're pretty much going to let the conversation take its.
Natural course.
Oh shit. That is playing double. There we go. I had to throw that on pause. The audio was confusing me. Like I
All
said, we're
right.
going to be talking PlayStation. Well, Sony in general until the conversation kind of takes off on its own, like it normally does.
Yep. Well, let me introduce Sony as a company first. Sony is a very innovative computer hardware company. They've invented most of the physical mediums that we use today to store data. They invented data tapes. They invented audio cassettes. They invented CDs and DVDs, even Blu-ray. They've usually come out with the earliest versions of that. Heck, they even made the receiver for my hi-fi over there. And around, I think,
Most notably, stereo speakers.
yeah, and around the 90s, they got into a deal with Nintendo to produce an add-on for the Super Famicom that was going to be the Nintendo Play-Station. Of course, they had a falling out, and Sony held on to the rights to the hardware, so they produced it as the Sony PlayStation just a few years later.
Released as we all know as PS1. It started a long chain of just riding other people's coattails until Microsoft showed up with Xbox. Microsoft being the latest character in the game.
A-
Go ahead.
Absolutely. Up until that point, the only competitors that Sony had to deal with were Nintendo and Sega, longtime rivals.
Now, being as how they already had a monopoly on just hardware in general, the next logical step would have been video games. It's just Nintendo went and accelerated that quite a bit.
Absolutely.
They already, like he said, they were making memory storage already, so they had all the hardware just sitting around to create a game system. And poof, there it is.
More or less.
Um, Fast forward a little ways to the past the PS2 and the fall of Sega with the Dreamcast and whatnot. Past the PS3, which no, not past the PS3 actually. Let's cover a little bit of the gimmicks that came with the PS3.
One, it was backwards compatible at first all the way to PS1.
Yeah, but for some reason, Sony shot itself in the foot and took that out
Hardware costs.
and shot themselves in the foot. The hardware costs I understand, but it was still like a little bit of a bleeding toe to the gaming community because they weren't able to play their PS2 games on a PS3. They still had to cart around the PS2 system.
Yep. Shortly, like a little ways into the life of the PS3, they released an add-on called the PlayStation Move. Now,
Just after the PlayStation Wii. Or not PlayStation Wii. Wow, Nintendo Wii.
now the Nintendo Wii had been marketing itself for about a year or so now. Of course, Sony claims that they were already working on the Move. They were already working on the PlayStation Move as the Nintendo Wii was running. Whether or not that's true or just them covering their asses, I'm not going to try to make a wager a guess. What I will say though is that the Move definitely had more accurate controls than the Wii did.
Yeah, they did. But if you look at, okay, I'm going to look this up just real quick. Release date of the Wii, or announced date of the Wii. Was November 19th, 2006.
And you're looking up the Move now?
Yes. In 2010. They jumped on the motion control bandwagon a solid 2 years after the Wii was released. No, that'd probably be 2 year or what was that? Right around Motion Plus was released.
About.
Right around the time the Wii Motion Plus was released, because I would think there was an influx of sales with Nintendo's little Wii being like a family kind of a
Oriented.
family play kind of, yeah, a family oriented console. I cannot speak today. I cannot speak ever. Um, that's Mind you, those are announced dates. Um,
Yep.
there wasn't actually a lot of games that capitalized on the PlayStation Move because they just released it so that they didn't get left behind in the market.
Little did they
Straight
know
up,
that. Little did
they were
they.
scared.
Yep.
Sorry.
Little did they know that motion controls were not the way games were going yet.
They ended up refining that when they released the PS4 anyway, and matching it with. Well, we'll cover that in a minute. When did the PlayStation Camera come out?
Same time as the Move, I think.
Oh, which again knockoff of the Kinect, because the Kinect had already been out. You know what? We'll check up on that too. I'm going to do some fact checking while I'm here.
Always good to fact check your statements.
2007 versus. Oh, okay. So we cannot call the PlayStation.
Camera.
Yeah, the place we cannot discredit the or we cannot call out the PlayStation Camera because that had came out before the Kinect. So that around that time that was Microsoft being the bandwagon bitch at this point.
Except they took the idea of motion controls way beyond what it needed to do and removed the controllers altogether,
Yeah, you are the controller was their
creating a
slogan.
creating a glitchy mess of a control system.
That's an understatement. Oh, how wonderful.
Yep.
I don't endorse the use of tobacco. I notice I've been smoking on camera. At any rate, um, I really don't know where to go with this besides jumping into Oculus Rift and
Well,
um,
yeah. So they
PlayStation
definitely did.
VR.
While they didn't rip off the Kinect, the PlayStation VR definitely was Sony's attempt to stay relevant with the recent boom in VR gaming.
Right. Now, I feel like I'm not the only one that's noticed the trend in Sony being a bandwagon bitch. Actually, while we were planning out this video, my buddy Orion over there brought up some good points that I can't remember, that I'll eventually remember. But damn, fucked. Okay, what they, what I really wish, what I really want to see come from um, Sony is something just completely original, not them being too scared to try something original and just pumping out and regurgitating shit. The other company shit.
Yeah, but that's how they kind of got into the game market, isn't it?
Yeah,
And so it has definitely been an effective formula for them.
yeah. Moving on from PSVR because that's just too pricey, and we could sit here and drone on about it all day.
Well, originally it was marketed as the cheapest VR system on the market. The Nintendo Switch actually takes that title, but we'll talk about that another time. For now, let's talk about how PlayStation is trying to answer the Switch now.
Now, there was a little bit of a design leak in Sony, and it showed a console that is very it's a straight knockoff of the Switch. I will not sugarcoat it. It's a little tablet on a stand with two controllers. Just that look just like little Switch controllers, but tweaked a little bit, less streamlined, more hard-lined.
More
You know,
gun handle.
yeah, more gun handle and more what's the word? I'm going to use this term not to describe a meme, but more edgy. A lot of um, a lot of it's angular. That's a better way to put it. The front of the controller is angular. It still has their little still has joysticks. It still has the D-pad and whatnot, much like the Joy-Cons do, but positioned a little positioned for single player.
More
It's a single
ergonomically.
player Switch. I'm sorry.
More ergonomic.
Thank you.
Now, we don't know if this is like truly a prototype or if it's just a hoax, but we would not be surprised either way.
No, honestly, at this point, I would not be shocked to see a little knockoff fucking Switch come out by Sony at all. Actually, seeing it was a little bit of a viral video going around. I hate to say it, Facebook, but it it's really difficult to just Photoshop that shit. It looked it looked like it was a display piece. It's the best way to put it. It looked like somebody just took a really nice display piece photo and threw it up on the internet.
Yeah,
Um, it makes me wonder if they're going to take that and throw. Oh, I haven't checked the chat for a while.
change the size of your window so that it's over to one side and the chat's on the open end.
Hey, how about that? Get smart, Justin. Damn it. Where'd you go? There we are. So just do this number, scroll over here. Anyway,
Ladies and
why
gentlemen,
is chat appearing now? There we go. I have to keep it at a certain fucking ugh, pain in my ass. Okay, ladies and gentlemen.
okay, Kuro Yatogami says on the same sort of topic with Nintendo, Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 is coming out to the Nintendo Switch. Any thoughts? I imagine it's going to play just like it would on any other console. It's a port.
Yeah, honestly, I'd imagine like he nailed my thoughts on the head with that one. The only major thing is that you're going to be able to take it on the fucking road with you.
Yeah, that's definitely an upside if you like Xenoverse. Now, as far as Sony being, just jumping on the bandwagon, I want to state right now that I cannot blame them for that. I never thought I'd get one, but just today, I am a literal
Yeah,
piece of human garbage.
you're not human garbage. You're a bandwagon bitch. There's a difference.
I don't know what happened, okay? I was at the checkout aisle, and it was there, and it just ended up with my stuff, and I was just like, you know what, why not?
In which case, I really can't blame you because it would fit in with your regular channel pretty well, like we've discussed before live stream. I just, since it became fucking popular, I can't deal with it.
Yeah, I don't know how. Okay, I'm
The
gonna put that away.
gyroscopic effect.
I'm gonna put that
Hey,
away.
whatever keeps you focused.
So, uh, I would say let's talk about controllers for a little bit because for the longest time there was no standard of controller. You
Standard of
had
controller meaning,
either shape or input.
oh yeah, you had the blocky NES controller, the little more ergonomically designed fucking Super Nintendo controller, and
The
then
dog bone,
PlayStation had,
yeah.
yeah, the dog bone. PlayStation had their signature controller, and Xbox had their signature controller with the white and black button.
Yep, Sega had their whole 3-button layout thing, or the 6-button layout, with in the general shape of a banana.
Until it reached Dreamcast, where it kind of became like a, if a Batarang became overweight.
I consider it like I consider the Xbox controller to be the bastard grandchild of the Sega Dreamcast controller.
Yeah, yeah, they just changed 2 buttons, and there it was. There
So,
it is.
but
I gotta
then,
wake him up. Go ahead.
okay, well, so let's talk about input for a little bit. I know we've covered this on a Sunday night stream, but I think this is probably the right stream to touch upon it. Controller input methods, especially now that most controllers today utilize, if they're wired, utilize a USB input to connect to whatever device that you're hooking them up to. Which means that more or less, if it works on a console, it'll work on PC. But with that comes an issue. See, most controller companies are going to produce in X input because it's not proprietary. It's an open source format. And all games that support direct input allow you to map your own controls. It's a great system. It allows gamers to use whatever they want. Justin, I'm getting a lot of feedback from you. Can you mute the video on your end or something? Like,
I don't even have the video playing.
oh, I was getting feedback for some reason.
I muted my mic so I could wake him up.
Well, anywho, then Microsoft came out with their X input. It was proprietary, but they'd allowed game developers to design games around it. The problem is other controller companies could not design around that. It had to be Microsoft or nothing. See where I'm going with this?
Which is where you get the monopoly of PC gamers getting X input controllers to play games on Steam and whatnot instead of most games are going to run off of X input.
And
It doesn't allow for much
I get why though.
customization. Yeah.
I get why though, because like all X input controllers, they have certain buttons across the board, regardless of their shape. If they're built by Microsoft, they're going to have the A, B, X, Y buttons, the triggers, the bumpers, at least mapped to different locations.
It's going to come auto mapped to what you see here.
It makes things easier for the programmer, but it makes things more difficult on the gamer on a budget, or a collector like myself who likes to collect weird and unusual controllers.
Get the Nostromo out of my fucking face.
Sorry. So as I was saying,
That piece of shit. I know why you show me that. And it's for the reason that's about to come up. It's because you know I'm gonna rant about that fucking piece of shit that keeps coming up on my screen. Fuck,
people love
dude,
to
we've been
watch you
through
get
this X
angry.
amount of times. It looks like absolute shit. I don't know why that bar's down there. It's got no purpose. It doesn't even serve for balance. No. It. Fuck, it's designed for a T-Rex.
A friend of mine described it rather well. I believe you remember it, JT.
Go ahead.
It's like someone took a knockoff NES controller, shoved it into a cell phone mount, and then hot glued it to, well,
To a sex toy.
yeah.
Ah. It looks like somebody took a fucking hacksaw and cut out the center of a perfectly good controller and threw it on a fucking mount. It looks like it should be put up on a wall for like a trophy kill.
Yeah. Anywho,
Bang!
X input is the point I'm trying to make. X input. If most companies out there that produce USB gamepads are going to produce it with the direct input unless they've got express permission from Microsoft, but that means they've got to kick up a certain amount of their profits to Microsoft if they use X input.
Which is now a monopoly nowadays. Like you said, it's more convenient for the programmer.
And what's annoying even more is that not all Microsoft controllers use X input. For example, the Wingman and the Sidewinder series.
Yeah, which means you can only play a select few games off of them unless you're playing emulators, which most good emulators will come with both choices, X input and direct input.
Yep. And so, the point being is someone wanted to create a standard, and Microsoft clearly wanted their method to be the standard, and they're winning.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here's the thing. You can use an Xbox controller in a direct input format.
But you have to have a certain program for that.
No, you don't.
Oh, really? No,
In
that
order
was
to,
the PlayStation controller.
if you want to transform a direct input into an X input game format, then you have to use a controller emulator. But the other way around is just fine because direct input isn't in the controller, it's in the game.
That's right. Oh, I forget things. Did I finish that? Yeah, I finished that. I still prefer my personal preference still is direct input because of the bigger customization options that you get with direct input.
Yep.
If you don't like fucking you can map your controls to different to suit your needs for different games. It's much like having your G
My what?
your G something was that G18
Oh, my G13.
G13. Thank you. It's much like having your G13 in a plastic controller box or plastic controller housing, which I like.
Yeah, and this is more or less me just sending out a general statement to independent game developers. Please make more games with direct input. I know it takes longer to code. I know you've got to leave gaps in the code or whatever. I don't know how you code direct input, but I understand that it does take longer because of the mapping capabilities. But it makes it so that your game is more accessible.
You're good if you need to go, dude. Or are you trying to focus on? Oh, anyway. Um, he's right. I feel like it'd be a little more appreciated by everybody to be. I lost my whole train of thought.
It would be
It'd just be a little more appreciated in general. Okay. Again, we lost track. Where was I? Or where were you?
Uh, well, direct input, uh, or direct
Why
and
it would
X input.
be a little more well received.
Yep. Now, I understand why Microsoft is never going to just let X input die.
It's their brand of fucking. It's what makes them money. They
It
get
not
more
only makes
royalties out of fucking independent contractors or
the thing is
not
like
independent
it.
contractors.
No, no, no. Well, what it does is like they allow gamers to program for X input for free, I think, but they won't allow other control companies to design X input controllers. So it locks you into buying Microsoft controllers.
Yeah, unless you want to go through all the trouble of getting a conversion program for playing with a PlayStation controller.
Or,
I
a
tried that, it didn't
RetroLink
work.
or a RetroLink or a Nyko.
Right. Or in a Stromo if you're a T-Rex.
The Stormo only made bad gamepads. Their keypads were all right.
Well, yeah, their keypads are what they should be known for.
Yep.
They
And the
should
weird
have
part is
never
like,
touched fucking gamepads.
yep. What's interesting is that they actually worked with Razer to release a different Nostromo. So Razer has a Nostromo, and Belkin has a Nostromo. I would say get the Belkin version because the software is about the same. You've got something that isn't made of really expensive tech that'll break after 2 weeks of intensive use,
Razer's good for that.
and it's
Even
just
their
as comfy.
fucking mouses, they'll snap in half after about a month of continuous use. I
And
had one, and like I said, it crashed in about a month.
yeah, and you know why they're so expensive? It's
I feel like,
mostly just the components they're using.
oh, I felt like you'd be paying for the designers versus well, you get the point.
Well, it's the designers are kind of in there, but like I said, Razer just released the Nostromo on using their own hardware, like using their own materials. It's the same design.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the problem is that you're paying for a woven cable, a gold-plated USB input, and more expensive switches.
Why the fuck is it gold plated? What does it have to be gold plated for?
It doesn't corrode.
Oh, pst. Still though, that's
Excess.
sorry. Oh, yeah, that's excess. If it corrodes, you just buy a new one. Okay, if you have something around long enough for it to start corroding on you, you should probably be upgrading by then.
And that's what Razer wants you to do anyway. So they're tricking you. We're going to piss off a lot of Razer fanboys.
It sucks to be them. They're buying excess product. I don't want to hear bitching out of them when they're paying for excess and shelling out an arm and a leg. Yeah, it might be a little more sturdy built, but us
It's
broke
not even
motherfuckers.
it's not even that more surely built. Most
You
people claim their Razer Nostromo lasts.
how long?
Most
Your
people
audio
claim that
cut
there's
out.
oh, my N52
Hmm.
has lasted longer than what most people claim their Razer Nostromos have lasted for.
Exactly. I don't know why I said much sturdier built about a razor when I just said mine broke.
Yeah, it's just like it's fancier materials. That's all that they're.
Yeah, that's what I meant. I mean, who the fuck needs a gold-plated USB port? Or is it a port or is it
Input.
a input? Thank you.
And you know what the big kicker is?
T-Pain? Of course, everything on T-Pain is gold plated. I bet you he tried to gold plate his nutsack.
But you know what the big kicker is? Razer has
What?
per- Razer has permission from Microsoft to release X input.
It's still not going to make me want to buy their product.
It all leads back to that. Like, so does Logitech. So does Logitech. They've got X input controllers, but they don't work on Xbox. They work better on PC, but it is X input. It's easily recognized. But the thing is, between Logitech and Razer, Logitech makes a reliable product.
Right. Anything I've bought. Oh, the wireless keyboard and mouse that is sitting at my house right now is Logitech, and I got that hand me down from my brother who bought it last year. It still hasn't gone out.
Yeah,
It still has not shit on me yet.
because Logitech knows what their customer wants.
Right, they want something. It's the Logitech Wave keyboard,
The,
the one
my
that's a
Logitech
little more.
my Logitech G13. I can
Yeah.
read the news on my G13.
Oh, that is fantastic. Oh,
I have it turned to tech news on BBC, but
the fact of the matter is that Logitech's a better company. So's Nyko, for that matter.
well, they try.
They try. No, Nyko came out with a gamepad for PS4 that I thought was actually pretty cool.
Well, yeah, that's fair. I'm just saying, like, they're some of their stuff is hit and miss,
Yeah, like their
but it's because
console.
they experiment.
Oh, I'm sorry. But their your fuck their console at
But their console controllers.
not even controllers, just the add-ons, their microphones, their keypads. They're a little better built. And you're right, they experiment. That's why they specifically the Nyko chat pad for PS4. They threw a nice little addition on there that I wanted to pick it up, but I couldn't find it at the local seller, GameStop slash Walmart slash Target. No luck for me. It has a little joystick to function for the mouse when you're browsing when you're on the browser. If you ever get on the browser, every now and again I do just to like get on my regular streaming or anime streaming sites.
Yep. And Nyko even released something that I've said controllers should have integrated for years. It just plugs into the bottom of the PS4. It's a speaker and microphone, and it still has a port for you to plug your own headphones into, so you can use regular ass headphones and use the integrated microphone.
He... What's that for? Because your audio keeps cutting out.
PS4.
PS4. Okay. I don't think me hosting the stream was a good idea.
Don't worry, man. We'll get through it. Only
We'll
30
get
minutes.
through
Only 30 minutes to meet the minimum requirement of the stream.
it. Well, we've surpassed that, but I want to go for a little longer than 30 minutes.
Oh, I mean, like, it'll be just 30 more minutes.
Oh. Oh, okay.
Because if you're going to stream, might as well do like an hour.
That or split it up into two.
But yeah. So Nyko definitely they're not afraid to experiment, which is why they're still in business.
Yeah, so far everything though everything that I bought from Nyko has worked rather well.
Yeah, I mean, like my new Airflow hasn't shown any problems. The only thing that I've got with it is the sound of the engines.
Right. Actually, funny story. The first time I played Halo Combat Evolved was on PC on a shitty little Acer laptop that, god damn, I'm surprised it ran Halo. I had a Nyko brand controller, but it didn't have joysticks. So I couldn't throw grenades. I had to use the D-pad for movement, and their 1, 2, 3, and 4 buttons for the jump, the reload, the action, and the cancel out of a menu. And jump button being fucking. Oh no, it's good. This is really testing my memory because I can't remember the exact. I changed it a lot to try to meet my needs. Trust me, it was a lot of going into the fucking pause menu and switching around button combinations and whatnot. But the D-pad was actually well constructed. Not only did it have up, down, left, and right, but it also had the diagonals. So there's a lot of rotating my thumb like a joystick, but not at the same time, which has contributed to me destroying many a regular joystick on my regular consoles. Oh God, I'd bust controller, or I wouldn't be able to use the R3 and L3 and R3 buttons on regular controllers because I'd bust them out thanks to that fucking controller. Like the buttons were really, really tough to push down, which was my only qualm with it, but it was still a solid built controller. I ran that for like 2 years before I had to get rid of it.
Yep. And then like I've still got old Blue here, and it's still running strong.
I'm jealous of Old Blue. I like the mapping of that.
Yep, it's just a Sabrent. Apparently, there are drivers that go with this that I did not get. Friggin' dogs. That I did not get with the controller.
Which means you download and
That allow.
install drivers.
Yep, so that I can use the rumble function. But then again, like not many games really support it.
Who cares about the rumble function anyway, really? Like, it's not like throwing a rumble pack in your Nintendo 64 controller and running around on Zelda looking for secrets.
Yep.
The only thing I found rumble use for. I know I'm taking damage. I know my health is going down. No need to vibrate every time I get hit with a fucking bullet.
Yep. But despite not having the drivers, it does work very well, and it just goes to show you don't have to spend triple digits on a controller to have a good time.
Much like what was that? There's a controller that showed you on screen what was going on. The controller that had a little screen in the center, much like your Nostromo, but in controller form.
The all controller?
Yes, I actually subscribe to that because when it actually drops and gets enough crowdfunding, I want to buy one
Me too.
because I like to see what's going on every time I press a button, and I like the fact that it saves loadouts for games.
And it's compatible with every modern console.
Oh yes, every modern console it supports obviously both input variations. Oh, I don't know why, but I have no idea why this just popped in my head, but I want to test something.
Okay.
I might do a video on it on my own, but
Oh, is that the new the bamboo drawing pad?
it's not new, but yes, it is bamboo. I want the way that you move the mouse is you hover the pen over top of the bamboo pad,
That's what I do with mine, my Huion.
like so. I want to see about playing a game using the bamboo pad.
You know that's suicide, right?
It's worth a try.
Like you've got.
Actually, when I'm sorry,
Go ahead.
I'm actually going to use this to draw the title screen for the game we're producing.
Oh, cool. Yeah, it's like mine is just like a glorified electromagnet with a variable resistor on the tip.
It's pretty much all any of them are, besides the ones that are actually like gigantic ass tablets to draw on.
That have like the clip that can read impressions from pencils and whatnot, so you draw on the screen as you're drawing.
Right, which bugs me. The only thing that bugs me about drawing on on your laptop with one of these versus drawing on pen and paper,
It doesn't feel
you
the same.
can't rotate the paper.
Yeah, that's an issue.
I'm used to looking down and rotating the paper. I mean, you can rotate the screen, but it's a lot of work going back and forth rotating the screen, and it does feel just like drawing on like pen to paper though. Anyway, that's that aside, that was just a random thought.
Yeah, and you know what? I think that's another controller input that could be explored too. That's more or less universal. Mouse input. Have it be recognized as a mouse.
It, you're right, actually. You want to know something funny?
Hmm.
Well, not something funny. I'd actually put it into our game that it can the whole thing can just be controlled with mouse clicks.
Open mouth. Insert foot.
Uh, d- d- I stutter, okay? I stutter.
That was not a stutter. That was you saying something that was on your mind, and you just backpedaled.
No, I actually legitimately tripped over my words, okay?
Okay.
I was getting I was getting passionate about the game and it just kind of it I
Manifested.
tripped. How the fuck it went from mouse clicks to mouse clits is beyond me. I think Tone is right and I'm a fucking pervert and I can see chat blowing up in the next like 10 to 15 seconds.
Yep. Anyway, so
God damn it all.
controlled by mouse clicks, which means if you had a controller with that could be recognized as mouse input, which this is gonna piss you off. This can be recognized as a mouse.
How? What, with the joysticks and the X button?
Yep, there's you hold down the mouse button, move the right joystick, and then click.
With what button? You're fucking kidding me. That is so useless. Okay, not useless, but fucking
On this
pointless.
on this controller, yeah.
I could compare that controller to what's sitting there spinning around in your fucking hand.
Yeah.
Yes, Tone, I know I'm a perv.
You beat her to
I
it.
wasn't even trying to be a perv. Perv. Thank you, Tone, for blowing up chat up to standards. No,
Anyway,
usually, Tone, you are on my ass about being a perv, and it makes things funny. So I was kind of starting a countdown. Anywho,
yeah, you can like use this as a mouse. It's ridiculous.
that controller itself is ridiculous. Okay, dude, just putting that out there.
Its very existence is an enigma,
An enigma.
a mystery. Why does it exist? Why was it created? They know it wasn't going to sell. It doesn't sell. I bought one purely because I'm a
Well,
friggin' masochist.
hey, Tone, he's a masochist.
You hush up now. You hush up right now.
You
Don't
said
let
it.
the fact that I'm indicating with the spinner be any dampen the shame you should feel.
I don't feel shame except for when I actually legitimately trip up.
But yeah, so it's the reason it exists is a mystery to me.
Now, I actually wanted, or I actually had another subject I wanted to cover before we just took this beautiful tangent, and that's what Sega should do to make more money, or to make enough money to put out another console, because apparently they're bitching about making, or apparently they're not making enough money.
Well, it's
I
more
mean, they're
they're more
doing,
successful. They're more successful as a software company.
yeah, no, I get that. They're doing damn well in the software industry. But retro kids like you and I are looking for
I use the term lightly. It's I like to find horrible things that are within my realms of interest so that I might have an excuse to get angry and rip them apart verbally on camera.
I'm only picking on you, Tom. It's a term of, it's endearment. It's endearment.
But yeah, so Sega definitely is doing great as a software company.
But retro gamers like you and I, and everybody else I know, or not unfortunately, as a matter of fact, I mean, I'm only going off of the people I know. They want like a reboot of the Dreamcast.
A while ago, a group of independent engineers did come forward with something they had designed, production name Cloud9. They told Sega, it's like, look, if you'll just put your stamp on this and let us use the Dreamcast name, you will get the major portion of the profits. But if you don't, we'll just release it as a non-proprietary under our own brand with our own games. So
Right. They could have made a fucking killing off of that.
the problem with that would have been is like they would have to stop producing games for other consoles if they wanted the console that they produced to be successful.
Well, it would have been, honestly. They had the means, they have the means and the fucking know-how nowadays to do so.
I think it comes down to it's like the question that people are often asked is like, would you like to see a new Sega console versus would you buy a new Sega console if you really seriously considered it?
I'd buy one. Shit. I'd that's something I would wait in line for the midnight release for.
I'm not sure I would.
I just want to see what they could do. That's why I would get excited and up in arms. I'd pre-order. I'd go broke pre-ordering.
But then you have the issue of like, if Sega steps back into the ring on top of Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft, then what you have is a huge console war outbreak. Now, right now we're in more or less a controlled competition here. You have a lot of good games being released on console, although they don't have a huge market for independent developers. And then you've got a lot of mixed games on the PC. But the moment Sega steps back into the ring, all hell breaks loose. And then you've got crappy games mixed in with good games because the demand for third-party development shoots through the roof.
Granted, yes. Maybe it's my inner anarchist, but I kind of want to see that happen.
You would join the Sega side of the console war, huh?
Fuck yeah! Come on, I played PSO2 or PSO1 for Xbox for the longest, or for Dreamcast for the longest. It's been a fun day. It was my day off, and I spent the whole time groggy. I played nothing but Dreamcast with my brother for the longest. Therefore, I would feel obligated, not obligated. Well, yes, obligated and ecstatic to be joining the Team Sega.
Now, and this is just the inner me getting all misty-eyed over an angry video game nerd video, but I would love to see Atari make a comeback as a full-on console, not just the flashback nonsense. And I want them to release Airworld. Let the contest be finished. Let the Sword Quest end so that we might get our prizes. Unfortunately, those prizes will never be released.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Atari would be able to keep up. They'd have to dust up. They'd have to clean at least a foot of dust off of their shit just to put themselves back together.
Yep, and it's like, as much as I want Sword Quest to be brought back, we're not going to see it because the last few treasures are not around anymore. The guy
I
who
played
bought
a demo.
Atari,
Mhm.
oh, if I may just say this, like, so those of you who know, the Sword Quest contest involved this. There were going to be 4 games: Fireworld, Waterworld, Earthworld, and Airworld. Now, Fireworld and Earthworld got released and they were successful. Waterworld was released in limited quantities because of the video game crash. Airworld was never released. There were going to be contests. You would solve puzzles in these games and mail in, the unlocked secret in the game to Atari, where you would be brought up to probably the first esports competition in the world, the Sword Quest competition. The winner of each game competition would be given one treasure, whether it be for Fireworld, you got a medallion. For Earthworld, I believe you got a Philosopher's Stone. For Waterworld, you got a chalice, and Airworld, you would get a crown. Then all 4 winners would come together for a final contest where they would receive a sword with the Atari logo stamped into the crossguard with jewels high across it and a silver blade. Waterworld didn't get its contest. Airworld was just nothing. So, and Atari was bought out by Microsoft, and the owner of Microsoft at the time has
Where
been
you going?
eyewitness has
Okay.
been eyewitness to having the sword, so he probably has the crown and the chalice as well. And reports say that they were melted down. The most valued treasures, sacred relics of classic gaming, were melted down.
Well, we're never gonna see that shit again.
And doesn't it piss you off?
Yes, actually, I would have loved to see that contest finished. You're right.
These were artifacts.
I wouldn't have cared to have participated because, or to participate in it because I'm really bad when it comes to finding secrets. I play more for the story, more for the gameplay versus finding secrets.
That's part of the game, is that you had to look in the comic books to find the secrets that came with the games.
Oh,
Playing the game would give you a hint, and then you would look in the comic.
get shot or what is that? Stand-in Carmine on Gears of War, Orion. Gets shot in the head 25 times on Gears of War 4. We're talking about hidden achievement, or he brought up a hidden achieve or hit. He brought up you can't leave out hidden achievements.
Yep.
And I mentioned there being an achievement on Gears of War 4 for getting shot in the head 25 times in a multiplayer match. Sorry about that.
No problem. So what I'm saying is, like,
It's Carmine something. Continue on.
is that I would have, if there were ever a reason for Atari to release a new console, it would be to create a new quest, to apologize in some way, or at least reconcile with their fans, saying, look, what happened was unfortunate, but here's a new quest for you, a new adventure, new treasures. Go out there and become a legend.
In which case, I'd have to say good luck. I would watch. I would straight watch. I wouldn't, like I said, I wouldn't participate because I don't go out and find secrets unless I feel like going on a hunt. Um, Speaking of old games and whatnot, I have both ends of, or I have, the Dragon Quest series.
Yep.
I have both ends of that spectrum. I have the game Dragon Warrior, which was released before it turned into Dragon Quest. And, well, I have the demo of Dragon Quest Heroes. What I would like to see is a Dragon Warrior reboot.
Now that would be interesting.
They can't and won't do that.
They can't
Specific,
because Dragon Quest is way more popular. It's well established.
and they won't because Dragon Warrior uses the same exact sprites as Dragon Quest.
They get confused.
Unless it was like a like an you know the Final Fantasy one reboot for PSP, how the design of that was. It was technically 16-bit, but technically not.
Yeah,
Much like RPG Maker games, unless they
actually,
did a Dragon Warrior, or yeah, if they did a Dragon Warrior reboot with that specific format, I'd still play it.
yep. I've only got two Dragon Quest games, Dragon Quest 9 on the DS, and now this was a mistake. When I was in Japan in the book off, I bought Dragon Quest 5 for the Super Famicom, not realizing my mistake.
Do you even have a Super Fan? Oh, Region Lock.
No, I've got the Retro Trio, which plays games across every region. You don't understand. It's a Japanese game, and it's an
Oh,
RPG. It's an RPG. Do you see my problem here?
can you
Largely
read
text
Japanese?
based, fucking barely katakana.
Oh, yeah, you fucked up, buddy. You fucked up.
And I was all the way back in the States before I realized my mistake.
Oh, oh, I hope you're kicking your own ass for that.
I have been kicking my own ass for the past 2.5 years.
What's no refunds in Japanese?
Refund janai.
Thank you. Orion just happened. Orion just popped off with Sony. Well, you can't get refunds on downloads anyway, but
Because you don't own the game, you're licensing it.
yeah. Hoy, that's rough.
Yeah. I did get a cool game though called Dotsusun Wakastone Battle.
Whose face is twitching?
I think it's mine.
Okay.
Yeah, but Dotsusun Wakastone Battle. It's columns.
Yeah, yeah.
Imagine that, but with elements of a fighter game mixed in.
Okay, okay. Much like what was that? Pokemon Coliseum,
Sort of. Well, it's like columns
but
where you
with
have to match.
columns.
Yeah, you have to match up blocks to get combos, and depending on
Mm-hmm.
which blocks you use, will use different attacks, and certain attacks are more effective based off of which character you picked and which character the opponent is playing.
Okay, then that's more like the puzzle version of Mortal Kombat Unchained
Yep.
for the PSP.
My friends and I,
That
we
was
were.
actually fun.
Yeah, my friends and I, we used to be like
Go ahead.
hooked on this game. Like every time they came over, it'd just be like, "Can we play Stone Battle?"
Uh, there wasn't a lot of games that I would play with my brother Josh because he beat the living shit out of me in games. Unless it was Guitar Hero, in which case I killed him. But and he owned mostly RPGs, so I'm kind of envious of you.
Yeah, I was the king of Stone Battle.
He nailed Through the Fire and the Flames on Expert 100%. On a PS2 controller, okay? No, not that. The PS2 button guitar controller.
Ah,
but it was the one that came stock with the game, so it was automatically shit. Like the buttons, you know, they were really loose, and the strummer was really loose, and the whammy bar was, it felt like it was going to flop right out of the fucking controller
Just
itself.
all loose and floppy and horrible.
Yeah, still managed to 100% that shit. I was shocked.
Yeah. And now Guitar Hero's back.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that.
It's got a new controller layout. Granted, having held the controller, it definitely feels good. You just have to get used to having 6 buttons up here.
Okay. Oh, yeah, that's right. It had a 6-button layout.
Oh, Kenny says hi. Hi, Kenny.
Oh, hi, Kenny. Wait, when did Kenny show up?
He's in the chat.
Oh, I haven't been getting the chat. I have to keep reloading the page to get new messages.
We're talking about Guitar Hero right now.
Well, it's a little bit of an addendum.
Yeah. So, like, actually, it actually comes back to Sony with the new Guitar Hero game.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Right back full circle.
Now, speaking of Guitar Hero, it's like, it used to be that everyone had at least one version of Guitar Hero.
Mm-hmm. At least one.
And I feel like that used to be what Call of Duty is now.
Yeah, instead of getting on and trying to face each other, playing, just picking a song, you know, picking your best song and getting your ass kicked, you know, or kicking the other person's ass. Now you're getting on and killing each other. I feel like that that introduces a lot of resentment between friends. It's like, I didn't know you wanted to kill me that much.
It produces hilarious results among the future reviewers.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus
Eventually,
Christ,
eventually, when I get my computer up and running, I think we should do something playing Ghost in the Shell's little kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm thinking so too. But be warned, I've got my G13. I have a profile just for Ghost in the Shell.
I'll be picking up the G13 for that as well. And figure out what's most useful.
Yep. It looks through your computer and lets you know what games it can do.
You bought a balloon. Oh, I know what you bought that balloon for. Ah, damn it. Okay. Uh, you're gonna be inhaling helium in a minute.
That'll be funny on stream.
Right. I think one of these multi-tools floating around here has some scissors whenever you want to. Where'd you go? Whatever. I found something to fidget with. Um, you know, the Nintendo DS has been showing up quite a bit on this live stream, but we haven't actually covered it.
Did we talk that much about the DS, or do you mean the Switch?
No, the DS came up a few times.
So it did. Well, let's talk about it then.
Now, that raises a question. Okay, we're going to have a couple of prerequisite questions in there. What brands have you owned, and which one did you play the most on?
Well, as far as brands go, I started off with, like, in general gaming or with portable gaming.
DS specific.
I started off with the original big fat silver one.
I did not. Sour Patch Kids, though.
Sour candy, but I started with the original fat one, and my first game was Nintendogs.
Um, I started off with the DS Lite, luckily, and my first game actually was Pokemon, Pokemon Diamond. Mine was dark blue, and my mom's husband at the time sold it so he could buy his parents and because sold it to his parents, and then without telling me, and then I had to go buy my own laptop.
Um. Anyway, so I bought I had a couple games. Uh I had Nintendogs. I had the Simpsons game.
Hmm.
And I had well, that was it for as long as I owned the silver one. I had Mario Kart.
Hmm.
Mario Kart DS. And then a couple years later, I got the DS Lite because the sound on my original silver DS stopped.
Hmm.
It worked with headphones, but it did not send sound out the speakers. So I got the DS Lite, and that lasts me for. I still have my DS Lite, and it still works.
Yeah. Well, I ended up picking up another one. Oh, not only did I have Pokemon, but I also had Final Fantasy III's remake, which was good enough for me to buy again. Oh, and Kingdom Hearts 358 over 2 days.
Yep, I rented that game quite a few times.
I have the comprehensive guide that goes with it. I think I'm going to do
A thing on it.
on just yeah, a thing on just stop talking about it. Yeah, the problem.
Ouch. You're cutting out.
We should probably take a quick hiatus, casters.
Okie doke.
Feel like the audio quality is going to be really buggy. So with that, it's going to be about 5, 10, or 10, 15 minutes before we start back up. We'll be right back. And this time, we'll get some snacks, some food, some drinks. You do stream. We'll be right back.